the pandemic that is happening here. So I hope you all are keeping well and safe. So today conference is about the cyber security, which is the most crucial issue these days that we are seeing. So we have a first panel discussion on securing the critical government infrastructure. We have our panelists. We have our moderator, Shri Prashant Chaudhary, Director, Government VMware. We have Shri Golok Kumar Simliji, CTO, Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India. We have Shri Neeraj Sinha ji, Advisor, SNT, Niti Aayog. We have Shri R. Shakya, Deputy Director General, Security Assurance, Department of Telecom, Government of India. We have Shri Santulan Chaube, Joint Director, CISO, Government of Delhi. We have Mr. Munish Chandan, Head SEMT, Department of IT, Government of Haryana. So I welcome you all, sir. I hope we are going to have a meaningful discussion and fruitful outcomes. So over to you, Prashant.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Pragya. And very good morning to everyone. And thanks for sparing time for having this such a critical and meaningful discussion. We all know in today's time, I think the way scenario has changed, the pandemic situation has really impacted most of the organization, whether it's a government or non-government. Government today is looking at innovative solutions to have services still being offered to citizens and make sure the business continuity remains. There are no impact to the services. While that is one of the thought process to have services ongoing, the second challenge which most of the government departments today are facing is in terms of how do they really provide and continue to provide secure access to their critical infrastructure. So as the topic also suggests, how do we really protect our government critical infrastructure? So what we'll do is, before we get into a discussion, maybe we'll do a one round of discussion on what are the new risks and challenges which we are facing in context to cyber security because of the COVID situation which has arisen. So has it really increased? Is there a new challenge which government departments are facing? So we'll do that. So maybe I'll start with Mr. Manish. Maybe you want to start on this, and before we come to the solution part of it.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. See, the speed by which this pandemic came, it was unimaginable, and see, organizations which were not ready, they were unable to bear this change. So they definitely faced a lot of problems. Government of Haryana fortunately was prepared. I'll not say that prepared with regard to the COVID crisis, but we were prepared as a state, and we were prepared with regard to the overall information security as well as the strength, the hardware and infrastructure security of the state. So we were working from last 4-5 years. We issued our cyber security policy in 2017, and since then we were, working to go align with whatever was set in that policy, and we were working continuously to improve the organization structure and strengthening the infrastructure and application level security. So all those preparedness helped us to combat this situation, and successfully we were able to deliver many products which were even adopted by the central government, and which are being replicated across other states as well right now. So the preparedness was that we already had a proper organization structure till the district level. So headquarter level we had CISO, and then district level we had ISOs and department, board, corporation. So any kind of security advisory or any kind of new information which was to be released to all these officers, we had all the structure in place, and they had the structure in place of the people working in their organization. So the information dissemination was very easy for us. So we had tied up with CDAC, and we have a indigenous organization called as Information Security and Management Office. So this time the applications were like developing that we need this, we need that. So all the departments were coming up with some of the innovative ideas, and the applications were being developed on the go. So the honorable CM himself was keen to get these things developed, and the pressure was huge. So so when you develop a application that needs to be security audited, and there should be a proper policy for it, to get it hosted on the infrastructure what we have. So that organization we had already, we had CDAC partnered with us. So the security process that was all in place when these new applications were being developed. So we also had a toll-free number for the citizens, any kind of security, cyber security issues, because most of the people were working through home, and any kind of cyber security threat which if they were facing, they were reporting on our toll-free number. And to our surprise, the call volume was huge in this last 2 months. So our role-based infrastructure management team at the data center, they were continuously working day and night, and it was all readiness which helped us to combat this time, this crisis time. So I'll just say that it was readiness. Then point by point, Prashant, when you ask, then we'll put forth our views.
Sure. And thank you, Mr. Manish. I think while obviously one part of the issue today is challenges, maybe some of the new challenges which came up, I think some of the important points which you have highlighted is the preparedness is very important right now. And as you said, there were policy in place, there were process in place which actually helped state of Haryana to combat this situation and overcome some of the challenges which were there. So I'll move to Mr. Santlan. Sir, will you like to add some points where one is whether similar things or there were some specific challenges also? You can cover both challenges and how you were able to address some of the challenges.
Thank you, Prashant. Thank you very much for having me here. Yeah, Delhi has got some different perspective and different issues. Though we have got a good security infrastructure in Delhi, we have got one cyber security agency engaged to timely conduct the security audits and to help the developers to get the security done immediately, because hosting is very important. And more than security, the timeline is very important, because the development time which is given to developers is few hours, because time is tough. So there are challenges, many challenges. I will not say the journey is so smooth and everything was very nice and it was working fine like Haryana. Manish, you have done a very wonderful job. I congratulate you. So here,
thank you, sir.
Here the issue is a little different. Issue basically was the information security. Okay. Hello, can you hear?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So the issue was information. We saw that most of the information, which is called sensitive information, is being made public in the ignorance that we have set it right, we have cleared, but in enthusiasm and to provide the information to the public, we somehow provided the information which was sensitive, which was immediately patched up and that was removed. But to provide this all information is to be kept behind some credentials. It should not be put in public. So issue in Delhi was twofold. One, challenge to develop applications very fast, very quickly. Second, to ensure that these applications are safe. They are safe in perspective of the security, as well as safe for the public also, so that information is not leaked. Now, third challenge which we will face now, because as per the policy, we have to delete the information whatever we have collected, sensitive information particularly. We have got circular from Ministry of Home, I think yesterday, that all the concerned departments, the information which is used for some purpose, it should be used for only that purpose and it should be deleted after that. So that challenge we will face soon. We are facing that as soon as this issue is over, all the information which is collected for some purpose, it should be deleted. Right? Second issue was what we are facing was that information gathering. The information gathering in the time of COVID is very important. Sources who collect the information, there are some multiple information also coming, compiling the information and providing information so that some decision should be taken. The decision support system based on the information is to be in place. So we are doing it well and outcome is fine, but lots of challenges were there. And we have sorted out that. Most of these challenges had been sorted out, and we are ready for any future challenge. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And I think you highlighted some of the, I think very key, you have touched on very crucial and critical points, which are information which is not to be shared, and confidential information which is only information about either personal to users or to government also should not be shared either way. And I think that happened. So we have to find out what are the ways to mitigate. How do we control the information leak which is happening? And also at the same time, you say information gathering. And the biggest concern you highlighted was developing new application and how quickly you can roll out those applications to suffice the requirement. So this is some of the areas, and absolutely. Thank you, sir. Mr. Gorak, will you like to just add to some of the challenges and at the same time also address some of the points like how does government actually dealing with this situation and what strategy is being adopted right now to address the security concerns?
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Prashant. Let me at the outset thank Governance Now and the VMware to bring in such a specific webinar, probably which is the need of the hour. Let me also thanks to my co-panelists joining this webinar. To start with, if you ask me the challenges, Prashant, I foresee like this, saying that when you came into this kind of a pandemic situations or this kind of a lockdown scenario or this kind of a crisis, what typically I am observing or what we are in fact doing is the biggest challenge is the handling the remote workforce. Now, how do you handle the remote workforce? Are you really able to identify the remote workload which you will able to justify through your network, through your access, through authorization, through security? So the workload assessment is very important while you have this kind of a pandemic situations. So to start with, the primary thing is how do you plan for your remote access, remote workforce, and remote workload. The second problem, probably not only for us, probably many of such government departments, public sector are facing is, if you have this kind of a scenario, do you have the budget? You don't have budget for this, right? So how do you reappropriate your budget? No, reappropriating the budget, because suddenly if you enter into this scenario, you don't have money to do all those things because you have never thought through. So how do you reappropriate the budget, right? Then the third very important thing what we are finding is, can you define a appropriate BCP? Now, when I say appropriate BCP means, again, can you really identify which are the business functions which should continue to function during this time of crisis and lockdown, right? That is another area which most of us finding challenges to differentiate between what exactly the appropriate BCP for me, right? And then the another 2-3 thing is, how do you prepare your workforce? Does your workforce has that kind of skill sets available, like some of our co-panelists are saying that does this workforce have that skill set to work remotely, to change their mindset, to win their confidence? No, it's again another big challenge which all of us know we are facing. And then suddenly when you see this kind of a load, if you are even planning to move out from your own premises data center to, let's say, towards the cloud, do we have a migration path available? Personally, I am saying such things are not available with us, right? How do you migrate into your own demand requirement, business requirement? Some of us saying no, application development, application readiness, infrastructure readiness, security readiness. But suppose you don't have such facility available on your own premises data center, do you have a migration path available to move into the cloud, right? And while you are moving into the cloud, is that the security during the transition and after the transitions are intact, or are you able to ensure that, right? One more point I would like to add, when we are looking into the digital foundation which we have created, or the digital platform which we have created across the organization or across the ministry or across the stakeholders, that digital foundation, if you see, overall digital foundations, can that digital foundation deliver me any application, right, on any cloud and on any device, right? It should be device independent. But then I must have built-in security at every layer. When I say every layer, right from your data layer to application layer to host layer to network and perimeter layer to IT layer to physical perimeter security, and then overall a compliance framework, right? Do you have an overall security compliance framework in place, right? And if at all you have all those things in place, do you have a SOC kind of a mechanism, right? Security Operations Center, where you can have 24/7 into 365-degree monitoring. So this should be the overall kind of a framework one should develop to face this kind of a challenge.
Thank you, sir. And I think you have touched on very critical. Some of the points will be leading questions. So I think I'll go to Neeraj sir for his view, and then I think I'll come back on some of the points you have actually touched in your speech.
Yeah. Good morning, Prashant ji. Thank you for this opportunity to speak on behalf of the Niti Aayog. And a very good morning to all the fellow panelists and to all the people behind the scenes in the governance now who have made this webinar possible. See, my interaction on this subject and my exposure to information security and cybersecurity in general has been there for quite a long period of time, because before coming to the Niti Aayog, I used to work in the office of the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, where I had the privilege to work with people like Dr. R. Chidambaram and now Dr. K. Vijay Raghavan. See, what we have, I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir, we are clearly audible.
Okay, fine. So there are two main things from the Government of India's point of view, which has always struck me as being very typical of the Indian scenario. One is, while we talk about all kinds of cybersecurity measures, all kinds of protocols, all kinds of security layers, we often lose sight of the fact that all hardware, especially the routers which are used in all network security arrangements, are primarily imported. Quite a few of them are from our not so famous neighbor, and the problem here is that very often they are all, we have confirmed news that they are all pre-programmed to have trojans and bugs and do all kinds of spying on all our networks. Now, we have had several efforts, a lot of government organizations in the private sector as well. I won't name them, but quite a few of them have been struggling very hard. There are routers that have been made in India, but not in numbers. And I'm not sure about their qualitative performance when it comes to established names like Cisco. Now, that is one. Second is, we have a multiplicity of organizations in India that work on the subject of cybersecurity. Now, that is a strength. We have always considered the length and breadth of the country and the harmony as well as the variety that we have in the diaspora to be a strength in India. But when it comes to coordinating the government response at the central level, very often we find it difficult to find out one single agency which is responsible. Now, we have very learned colleagues in the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, in the National Technical Research Organization, in the National Security Council Secretariat, in the Department of Telecom, and I see there is a colleague from the Department of Telecom who will probably share my thoughts. In fact, the National Security Council Secretariat has a designation called the National Cyber Security Coordinator. The National Cyber Security Coordinator is supposed to respond to all such measures at the level. But again, we find that the networking between the various government organizations leaves a lot to be desired. So while I say that having a multiplicity of organizations working in this area is a big strength, we have a big talent pool in India, and there is absolutely no dearth of knowledge, expertise, and experience in the country. but the coordinating mechanism between the organizations I just named is probably something which needs to be looked at. Now, having said that, other than these 4 organizations that are named, we have the strategic organizations in the Government of India, which probably cannot be named here, who also have their own mechanisms of doing, securing their network, securing their information flow, both data as well as voice, as well as video, and they depend on all kinds of imported protocols to do so. Now, again, this remains a matter of concern, and India has tremendous strength in software technologies, which we bank upon, which we use to a great extent. But I think we need to ensure that whatever we do as far as cybersecurity is concerned should be 100% indigenous to the extent possible. If we don't do that, we are compromising security at every level. And of course, I mean, I've already mentioned routers, and I've also, by the way, MIT has a very strong presence through CDAC, which was just mentioned by the colleague from, I think, the Ministry of External Affairs. And of course, it has the NIC, National Informatics Center. It has the Computer Emergency Response Team, which is popularly called as the CERT-N. So there are a lot of mechanisms that are available, but we need to kind of coordinate all these at the apex level. That is something which is a gap as far as we are concerned. And I have my colleague, Prashant, in a minute, I have my colleague, Dr. Ashok Sunkusare, who is a colleague from the S&T vertical. I was told that I should get as many people as possible in so that we broad-base the opinion. So I don't know if he would like to add a few words to what I've just said. Provided time permits, I'm sure we can take 2 more minutes.
Dr. Ashok, Dr. Ashok, if you want to just add something.
Advisor S&T has covered all the points which I want to tell you about this, because the cyber security in the digital India perspective, there are a lot of devices are talking to each other, and it's rightly mentioned that most of the equipment and all the hardware and software are mostly imported. So that is why we have no control at all. So we need to develop the indigenous capability in the country itself, so that we should have our own server, own internet, and all, because technologies are emerging. IoTs, artificial intelligence, and then industry 4.0, they're all automated. So we need everything indigenously so that we can. So for that, I think what are the challenges? Challenges is we need to reskill and skill the people. We need to create the awareness about the cyber security from the school level itself. So many, and we don't have that critical infrastructure with us. So can we have one research center, that is cyber security research center in the country, so that it will be a nodal for all the crypto analysis, and then all this type of cyber security infrastructure related aspect, to do some R&D on that. So that is required now. So apart from I think we have covered, Advisor S&T has covered all the points. So
sure, Dr. Ashok, so I'll come back to you maybe. I think before I go to Mr. Shakya, I'll just sum it up, and sir, I'll have a question to you. So when Mr. Golak spoke, and Neeraj sir and Dr. Ashok also spoke, see, one thing which is getting very clear is in points which Mr. Golak said, that I think we have to look at security from a context perspective, whether it is any device, any cloud, any application. I think it needs to be protected. What Neeraj sir said, that there are so many agencies already working and which are actually expert in their domain, like MIT, CERT, NIC, then cyber agencies. NITI Aayog is contributing from their perspective. I'll touch on the BCP part of it, which Mr. Golak also said. While in today's environment, business continuity, we are allowing our employees to connect to our critical infrastructure from home. Do you see, is there a challenge that is need of the hour? How do we handle that kind of a situation by providing them seamless access, but having a secured environment over there? So we'd like to touch about
So, Mr. Prashant, do I respond?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Yes, sir. Yes, please.
Thank you. And I think my apologies for joining late due to some other issues. Now, primarily, say when we look around the current scenario, which has suddenly occurred. So, as our friends had already shared in the things, the biggest concern for us in the current situation is that none of us was prepared for such kind of the requirement. Now, when we look for the typical critical information infrastructure as a design, most of us are there, which we believe that such infrastructure shall not be accessible on the internet. So that principle in this current pandemic situation also we do not want to go away with. We still believe that there has to be requirement to work from the home, even to maintain the critical information infrastructure, but need not necessarily be connected over the internet. So I think that clarity many of us do not have. Most of us may be having. So the difficulty is when the people feel that, okay, the critical infrastructure is also required to be mandated from the work from home. That does not mean that the connectivity has to be extended on the internet. Because if I'm putting the grid controls on the internet, whatever security protocols we deploy, I think we are taking a risk. And that all of us understand that. So this is one issue where we are facing. Another problem with us is that the devices which are deployed in the network to monitor, to control those systems, they are placed at the respective workstations or the I should say the work premises. Now the devices available with the individual at their home, they are not the trusted or the industrial grade or the predefined administrative control kind of the devices. So that is also a very serious concern for us, that if I allow a person who has been extraordinarily good in office, but the problem is the devices he is carrying at home, they are a normal general grade say devices in any kind of the desktop form or the say even the laptop form or whatever way tablets we allow, but they are not as trusted as the hardwired equipment or the say trusted equipment was placed inside. Then third thing you are had just summed up before my beginning, that is the connectivity is another issue, because reaching from the critical information infrastructure to the individual's house, generally availability is only internet, and then if I do not allow internet, then I goes out. So that becomes, I think, the biggest thing for us, how to work out and where the things have to be taken care. So what we in the DOT asked with all the telecom service providers, that yes, we agree that there has to be a connectivity extended for the work from home, but the connectivity shall be only to the extent of need to know basis. When I extend anything, whether on the secure VPN or on the say virtual desk interface or any other technology, what you are, once you are extending anything outside the premises, you have to ensure that except the typical defined one port or typical I say MAC winding or typical IP, that shall not be extended. So some controls we are making, but in a larger perspective, I think we have to go with, as my friend said, we have to come out something like IndiaNet, and that IndiaNet for the critical information infrastructure is nothing to do with the internet. It has to be our own say infrastructure based, independent of the public network, and then any kind of the activities could be done on this. So we are not impacted by virtue of any kind of say problems arising of the internet. So that concept, I think now we have to go. We have to accept the technology as cloud, but cloud does not mean have to sit on the internet. The cloud may be within our intranet or the IndiaNet, wherein this can be allowed to happen. So probably this is a time which is forcing us to go into the different kind of the say overall infrastructure and the availability of the services in a different manner. And ecosystem, yes, I endorse the views of the esteemed speakers there. In terms of the ecosystem, we do not have requisite hardware manufacturing within the country. and this has to be taken as a mission mode kind of the requirement, and have to develop routers, switches. And another difficulty with us is, even we have some finest routers or the say switches or other elements of the ICT infrastructure, they are not able to sustain in the market because the other international giants do not allow them to penetrate or to make the cost compatibility in a manner they can sustain. So probably I think we have to get aligned in a long term with the say, I should not say aligned, we have to start working on the vision of the Prime Minister. That is, we have to be self-reliant, not only field of this software development, which we are, but also in the electronics manufacturing, specifically the ICT infrastructure. We cannot rely on the SCADA systems designed, developed by external agencies, and then we are mere maintaining, and we are happy that, okay, I had deployed the SCADA, because effectively we know that there could be vulnerabilities within the SCADA system supplied by the source itself. So I think there are big challenges to that extent, and we believe all together we work to achieve the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister for the self-reliant and the agencies, whatever friends had mentioned. Let me just share, because I'm a member of that group. We do meet every at least once in a month. We do discuss all kind of the things happening globally, nationally, and the say the metrics within the responsibilities of the different sectors, whether they are our say agencies relating to the intelligence or relating to the Ministry of Electronics, IT, or DOT. Putting together, I think we all are there, and General Pant is leading us in all those things. And believe us, I think as far as security is concerned, we may not be very robust, but we are not as bad as being reported in the newspapers or something. So we do have the requisite things placed, but that is not end. It is just beginning. We have to develop robust systems as well. Please.
Sure. Thank you, sir. And I think you touched on some important points, and I'll take this one round of question more with each of the panelists. One is, you are saying definitely, and I agree that there is a big risk when we are allowing work from home and then from a business continuity. But that is also the need of the hour, if I may say that, sir, because I think most of and we don't know how long the situation exists. There may be a situation where the critical access to applications may be given. Maybe there is a need to look at how we address the security today. Maybe it is currently in the way it is implemented, maybe it's more bolted, it is without a context over there. I think we need to bring in a concept of intrinsic security, where it, even if we give by new innovation, give access to our employees from home. So I'll go back to Mr. Munish. Do you want to speak about this, like work from home as a concept? Is Haryana doing something like that? And is there need to have a technology in place which helps Haryana to allow users to connect from home, but as well make it still a very secured environment? Mr. Munish, can you hear me? Okay, I think we'll come back to Mr. Munish. Mr. Sankalan, your views on this?
Yeah, definitely. We have got e-office in form of working from home for the officers and the employees who can use e-office and keep on working. VPN is there, so using VPN, like Mr. Shakir told, that there should be some security which is going on. So VPN of NIC is a fairly secure system, I believe, and people use it, right? But the major issue which the Ministry of Home also says that for the vigilance cases and for secured cases, for very important files are not on e-office. So for that purpose, yes, we are on the files. But otherwise, working from home, e-office is helping. Video conferencing is very much helping us to work from home and keeping other people in the contact in the group. So these all things are happening. One which is very important, and I don't know if it is secure or not secure, I think all the learned people will tell us here, using WhatsApp. At least 50 groups are working on WhatsApp today in the state. Everything what happens, a group is prepared and people within that closed group start talking on that. We believe that yes, we are just very much dependent on WhatsApp and there is no alternative like Telegram or other that we are using. But WhatsApp is something which is lots of information is shared through social media groups nowadays. So that may be one challenge, that how much we are sharing, and we are very freely using the free disk space of Google, your Dropbox, and many people, many critical files, knowingly or unknowingly, are kept on this platform. How they show, I don't know, but we have to find some way out of that, that we are having indigenous place where we place all these files. And WhatsApp also, some kind of indigenous system should be working out where we can keep all the discussions, informal discussions, which take place on WhatsApp. This is my take.
Sure, thank you. And Mr. Golak, I think Mr. Santulan sir.
May I respond to Chaveji?
Quickly, sir, before I go back.
Very quick.
Yeah.
So since we have all the concerns with respect to the say WhatsApp or the similar kind of the platforms, let me share a very good news with all of you. The government has come out with a product called Samvad. It has been developed by the CDOT. It is totally indigenous technology. And I think we had already moved a large number of the people say in the ministry for the complete verification, and it's going on for 1.5 months plus. Some of our agencies are also using as independent. We have two classes therein. The what we call is classified communication label Samvad and a normal general secret Samvad. And maybe you may hear very soon that within the three ministries of Honorable Ravi Shankar Prasad, the Ministry of Law and Justice, Ministry of Electronics and IT, Communications, and so these all people together are likely to board completely on the Samvad from say by the end of May. That is what we are planning, and maybe once the experience we gain and refinement is done, we will be moving towards the complete government moving to that direction, so that the fear when we talk on the WhatsApp and all goes out of that. Similarly, another application has been demonstrated to him for the VC, because nowadays VC is the, I think, the key aspect of our all kind of the working. So that VC part is also developed. We have demonstrated, Minister, and probably tomorrow is the day for, I should say, the litmus test for us. The Minister of Communication is going to address all the chief postal general managers of the country on the indigenous platform completely. So I think this is just a sharing of the information with us.
Thank you very much, and I think this will obviously help in terms of what concern Mr. Santulan shared in terms of whether WhatsApp being secured or not. I think this will take care. So Mr. Simply, I think what Mr. Santulan said, that work from home and obviously that's need of the hour, something you can still do on VPN, but I think that's not sufficient. Maybe I think there are requirements to allow users to connect to their desktops or VDIs and other technology to look at. So your views, sir, on this?
No, see, I take little differently. While I agree that no, government of India is trying a lot of things, in terms of indigenous product, but then saying so, it is not the excuse that the current situation we have or the current crisis we have, you can't manage. No, I don't agree with that. What I would say that you need to assess properly, assess your critical business functions, assess your critical business requirement, evaluate properly, evaluate in terms of workforce, evaluate in terms of workload, evaluate in terms of risk management, how much risk you are carrying in terms of business, how much risk you are carrying in terms of employees, how much risk you are carrying as a overall organization, and how much risk you are carrying in terms of compliance and regulations. Now, once you do this kind of a evaluation, then strategize it in a way that the application and corporate network had a least privilege access, you have multi-factor authentications, you have only authentication through proxy servers, you have only authentication through secure VPN, right? You must have a strategy defined like zero trust, must validate kind of an environment, right? And then the applications which you are hosting or you are trying to access remotely, just look beyond saying that right from that I say complete protection framework. Are you able to really visualize right from your data center to your corporate network to your end devices while you are accessing that kind of a network? And to me, which we are doing, in fact, to me, we must take a hybrid approach, right? When I say hybrid approach, you must segregate between your sovereign and non-sovereign functions. Let's see that the sovereign functions, maybe it is on-site working, but the non-sovereign functions, many of such, I personally believe almost 70 to 80% of your workload is non-sovereign. Why are you worried for that? You divide a mechanism for that, and probably another 30 to 40% you can very well handle on-site, right? That is one of the strategy we must adopt. The another strategy we must adopt while we are dealing with this kind of a demand, sudden spike, sudden requirement, you must see that you have a hybrid approach moving out from your own premises data center towards the cloud, right? That part is always there. I fully agree that we don't have indigenous products as of now, but that doesn't give me the answer. That absolutely doesn't give me the answer. So we have to deal with that. Then the other very critical aspect we must look at, it is not only the government, we must work with industry, develop a business model. Let's develop a business model. And I personally see after this pandemic or after this scenario, you'll see that a lot of new business model and opportunities will evolve. Opportunities and business model between service provider and service seeker, between customer and supplier, between government department and industry, between industry and industry. Let's give them a shape. Let's give them a shape and work it out. We can't simply say that no, the government can handle alone. No, we can't do that. So it's just an overall strategy and overall framework probably we can develop and deal with this.
Sure. Thank you very much, sir. I think before Neeraj sir, I'll come back to you where I think some of the points which came up that yes, while Niti Aayog is working on the cyber security aspect and a lot of other departments, I think work from home is need of the hour, and also at the same time, I think industry today plays a very crucial role in terms of supporting new ideas and new innovation which can be brought to the table. So I think your views are on this one.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, see, work from home, we have recently, and all the colleagues in the government will know that we have got a recent circular from the Department of Personnel and Training, the DOPT, asking for suggestions from all ministries and departments on the Government of India on what should be the modalities of working from home, which is going to remain in force for probably the next several months to come. I mean, it's very difficult to predict that. It could be 2 to 3 months, it could be 6 months, it could be a year. We don't know how long we are going to avoid crowding in offices and how long we are going to continue with the staggered attendance that we are currently, living with. So we are giving lots of suggestions. My colleagues have already commented on that. We have sent it to the DOPT through the Niti Aayog. The point remains that WhatsApp was spoken about by Chaubeji, and that was in my mind. Somehow I missed out in the first instance when I spoke. See, China has WeChat. WhatsApp doesn't work there. And I repeat, despite having tremendous capabilities within India, we have somehow not been able to coordinate our efforts to develop, let us say, an Indian microprocessor, let us say an Indian VC platform. I mean, there were a lot of strictures on using Zoom, which initially everyone started using while working from home in the government. But then we have now migrated to Microsoft Teams. But Microsoft Teams is also again US based, it's not Indian. So while I will agree with Golakji that business has to continue, we cannot suddenly put stop to everything saying that, this is not secure and that is not secure. But there has to be a very strong presence of R&D in cybersecurity, of developing, demonstrating, and commercializing cybersecurity products starting with the routers, as I just said earlier. And before we do all this, we should put our act together by finding out that despite, having a multiplicity of organizations, which is the organization that leads the national effort on cybersecurity. We are still not sure about that. And I'm sure the colleagues from Shakti from DOT will also agree that there is a national coordinator for cybersecurity. I'm sure he knows, but then it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen that way. Otherwise, we definitely, kind of classify or add a group our business activities on working from home in two different categories. Just like Golokji said, something has to be done not over the internet, not over the VC platform. It has to be done physically. After all of us are coming to office. Deputy Secretary and above are all coming to office. The industry is to be involved. The private sector is pretty on routers. There is a company in Bangalore which has done a very good work. It is not that they are not participating with us, but then probably we need to broad base the academia, industry, and government interaction. And that is true not for cybersecurity, it is true for every sector in the country. So
thank you.
But we continue to talk about indigenous R&D, indigenous product development, indigenous product commercialization. The Prime Minister himself talks about Swadeshi now. So that should be our focus for several years to come now. Thank you.
Absolutely. Prashant, can I come in? So you were talking to me,
Mani,
but
yes.
yeah, I was unable to unmute myself. So that was some system challenge.
Please,
so
I think this closing
I'll,
remarks from you. I have few slides to cover, and I'll take your view, and then we'll go into that slide.
Sure. So I just compliment Mr. Sinha's views. In the initial remarks, I said that government of Haryana is prepared. So the preparedness, I just quote one or two examples, and then I'll close. See, we had our indigenous in-house development team. So when I talk about preparedness, all government departments, they need to get the applications developed, and most convenient and the safe way is to get it developed through an organization, and that gives you a comfort in a way that you can put in some SLAs, you have flexibility to deduct payments if the SLAs are not met and if the timelines are not met. So we have come out in the last 4 or 5 years, we have come out of this engine, and in spite of having vendors and panel and things like that, we have developed our in-house capacity to get the applications in-house developed. So multiple applications have been developed, and what plus we got it from this team, because when an application is developed, it goes into a round of security audits to get it security compliant and get the security audit cleared. So when you have a in-house team, so what happens that with the learnings, with the knowledge of the past, and they are now familiar that this is a security breach. If they keep it this way, then they have to fix it at a later stage. So the development is in line to the security policy of the required security policy, and as per the guidelines which are required for a certain certificate. So that is one point. So we are already having teams, in-house teams, to get the application developed, no matter it's web applications or iOS or Android based or browser friendly or mobile friendly applications. So that is one part. So we also encountered few attacks. Multiple all the government operations were functioning through the IT, and IT was declared as the critical information infrastructure coming under essential services. So we encountered attacks and ransomware and things like that were there. So we took a conscious call that we'll block all the traffic and geofence only to the Indias, because most of the tracks, they are generally used by some proxy servers in US or in Pakistan or some other. So whenever there is a IP, so if this call is taken by organizations, I personally feel that 80% of the attacks will go. So that is one part. And third part was the VPN policy. We saw that we see in the official environment we have connectivity over closed loop, so SWAN in place and closed networks in place. But when we are working from home, then VPN becomes a challenge. So people are connecting through their personal laptops. The personal laptops are being used by their family members. You know, the children are having online classes. So you can't keep that much security, because that convenience you have to extend it to the family members also. So what was the solution? So we had to allow VPN also, but at the same time we did not want that the internet should function when the VPN was there. So we made a policy change. We made an amendment. So whenever there was a VPN connection, then the internet was stopped. So these small interventions with the security, if you're doing it at the right time, then the things become in place. So this is what I wanted to say. So this is a continuous exercise. You can't say that you are secure, you have a SOC in place, you are secure, but at small level, small suggestions sometimes become they make a lot of impact.
Thanks, Mr. Manish. And I think
and
I wish we would have, yeah.
Just last point. I would have appreciated if somebody from NCIIPC was here in the panel. The remarks from Mr. Sinha on some organization helping in the critical information infrastructure. You know, they are helping all the state governments and the ministries for building the critical information infrastructure. They are even deploying some specific hardwares like honeypots, and which will attract malicious traffic, and then they will give you alerts that this is what is happening, and you can take precaution and the necessary actions on that. So this is what.
Thank you, Mr. And I'll just like to thank the panel, because I know for this kind of a panel on board, and I think 40 minutes is way too short time. I think we could have done this discussion the entire day. I think Mr. Manish, you said I have some slides which talks about innovation, and I think it is some of capture of the way we look at, but I think more or less it is lined with the discussion here. Thank you, Niyat sir. Thank you, Mr. Manish. Thank you, Sakesha. Thank you, Mr. Santan. Thank you, Mr. Gaurav. Thanks a lot for being with us.
Thank you.
Pragya, can you move it into the presentation mode? I'll just take 5-7 minutes. I know we are running short of time, but I'll do it quickly.
Yes, Prashant, now you are the presenter. Please take it forward.
Sharing.
Prashant, we have our next session speakers waiting, so requesting
I'll not take too much of time. Yes, I think one second. Okay,
so you need to come to the slideshow, because
yes. Is it visible now?
No. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
now
it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think I'll not get into too much of English, where we all know. I think we are talking about reducing the. Did I lose it?
Right.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. So security, I think we spoke about how many products are we talking about today, and it's broken in terms of everybody. We are looking at a threat-centric approach to solving the problem. That is one of the area which came in the discussion. And also, if I'm not wrong, I think somewhere I could understand from the panelists also, because we are talking about the security is mostly bolted on. We look at the environment, we build new application, and then we say, how do we fix the security? It has to be embedded inside. Siloed, I think there were discussion, are multiple teams working together? There is an InfoSec team, but there is a business team also. Are these teams aligned together to work together? And we can't have a threat-centric approach to our infrastructure. It has to be a contextual in terms of application and the infrastructure which is being impacted, as Mr. Golak also highlighted. When we talk about the larger infrastructure, everything need to be protected over there. So built-in, we talk about unified, and we talk about context-centric. Especially if you look at, I think I also want to cover that very important, and which aligns with our vision also, what I think government is saying, and I think today you spoke, whichever in digital transformation, our vision is any cloud, any application, any device which need to be protected. Security also had to be looked in a similar fashion of intrinsic approach, which is we can't look at it independently or out of the context. Today, if you look at what are we talking about? We are talking about centerpiece is our application and data. There was a mention of workloads either running on a private cloud. Mr. Golak also mentioned it can go on a public cloud. It has to be protected irrespective of where it is residing. From a network perspective, when the data flow happens within the data center, how do we look at not just firewalling at the gateway level? How do we protect our security at east-west traffic? Can each application server have a functionality like IDS, IPS running and make it more secure? We talk about identity endpoints because when we talk about work from home or even users, there was a mention of information getting leaked. If your endpoints and identities are also protected, so we have to look at it more from a intrinsic point of view, where we say we leverage your infrastructure, we leverage your application, and come to a intrinsic approach of security where we talk about harden your workloads. You understand the behavior of the application, you understand the behavior of your workloads, you have network controls, segmentation at each your network infrastructure, and traffic inspection. You'll be able to protect it only then. If you just sit at the periphery and if it's just overlaid on your infrastructure, you will never be able to protect it completely. And if you go to public cloud, very important, how do you harden even if your data is running in a hybrid model? Not just look at the private cloud, but also look at the your posture of your devices, which is endpoints, identities need to be completely protected from it. So this is where I think VMware also comes from, learning from I think from the governments, learning from various clients, that don't look at now security as a threat analysis and remediation. It has to be more intrinsic to the complete infrastructure and application. So I think I'll not get into the products, but obviously just wanted to highlight we have a Carbon Black suite of solution which actually gives you next generation solutions to address the entire security. The last slide, before I go to the last slide, last two slides for me, I think let's make a approach, and today we should have policies around where we say security has to be more built in. And I think every panelist today spoke about when they are developing new application, it has to be built in. You can't put on top of it. When the application development happen, whether it is on a on-prem situation, it is on a container, the security has to be within and unified, where everybody understand and context centric. Just to sum it up on my last slide, how VMware can also actually help in today's situation is, is also work from home solutions, where I think our esteemed panelist says that let's not try to boil the ocean. We don't have to take everything to the home. Whatever the users need, which is non-critical application, but from a BCP perspective, they still need to have option to work from home, either connect to their remote desktops in the office or provide them a complete VDI kind of infrastructure where they can continue. Security is paramount important, because if these desktops are not protected, how can we really make sure that these are protected? Hybrid and multi-cloud, whether on meaty empaneled cloud service providers, I think we need to also look at helping customers on migrating it and bringing it back when the situation changes, but also providing a complete secured environment. Use software-defined technologies like SD-WAN to provide connectivity, as Mr. Shakya said, that connectivity is one area we need to look at. So can we leverage technology to do that? And also, finally, the last line, I think everybody spoke about application development and in a much better fashion. So can we use technology like Kubernetes, make our application more modernized and secure from all perspectives? So that's it from my side. So thanks a lot. I just wanted to, yeah.
Prashant, can I take 2 seconds saying that the one which we are doing day and night, day in day out in external affairs is 3 things to my mind when you deal with this kind of a scenario. One is, we must have a strategic and disaster management team, right? And that team, we generally miss saying that team is from IT personnel only. No, it should be consisting of IT, line of business unit, HR, legal, and so on and so forth. Second is, we must monitor the crude activities that I call crude activities. Create, read, update, and delete activities, especially for the privileged users. And third thing, if you can monitor the traffic right from your network layer to presentation layer to session layer to application layer and to the database and finally up to the OS level, then I think
Yeah.
most of your job is done. So this is what we are doing actually.
And I think what we are saying is that the term, if I use intrinsic security, I think if we have that approach, I think we'll be able to suffice that. So
Yeah.
Thanks everyone. Thanks a lot for being.
Thank you.
I think for me, the
Thank you.
fundamental security is no one man's job.
How
It
do
is the partnership of everybody has to be together, nationally, internationally, users, service providers, connectivity, whatever you say. Everybody has to be together. No government
Absolutely.
can save it. No individual can save it. No product can save it. No software can save it. It's a combination
Absolutely.
of all of us together which has to make it there. So have the good bonding, keep on continuously acting, and the moment we are determined to work together to achieve, I'm sure we will achieve the goal of the self-reliant and the security, irrespective how much we are able to manufacture or not able to manufacture. But finally, if the infrastructure is saved, ICT per se is saved, I think work from home is one of the activity which can be leveraged by many of provisions. So I think let me congratulate the team who could get so many people together in this time, and the people are continuously, I think, under pressure to perform in the limited resources. So thanks from my side, and look forward for any kind of say continuous
I
engagement.
thank you all